One of the most inspiring stories you will ever hear, from a teenager with a dream all the way to the pinnacle of the UFC. Today on the Stories Behind the Door podcast, proud to bring a former teammate of mine from Tiger Schulman's former UFC top contender, Hurricane Shane Burgos. Man, I'm so excited for this one. We are deviating from the norm on the Stories Behind the Door podcast this week, and I'm going to get right into it with Shane Burgos. Before I do, I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsors at Kiwi 2 Construction. 30 plus years of providing steel structures in the self-storage industry, now doing boat and RV and small bay flex as well. They are the leaders in the space. Reach out to kiwiconstruction.com. Shane Burgos, welcome to the show. I told you off camera, it's kind of cool. You're sitting with your lanai in the background. I'm a little jealous as I'm still up here in the Northeast where we knew each other. You're down in Florida. Welcome to the show. I always start the show off with the same question, and we'll get in as we go through, how our relationship happened and how we know each other. But I always ask people how they got to where they're going. Usually it's how did you get in self-storage, which is really kind of a niche industry and nobody really sets out to get into self-storage. You got into the UFC, which is a pretty niche thing, man. I think there's less than 3,000 people all time who've ever fought in that organization. Tell me about the journey of Shane Burgos and what motivated you and what made you want to go pursue a career in MMA and eventually got you to the UFC.
Oh man, that was a great intro. First off, but it's funny, man. It might sound corny, but I don't think I found MMA. I think more like MMA found me kind of thing. Like it's a weird thing. Like I just stumbled across it, flipping through the channels one day. Caught a UFC Unleashed episode. I told this story a million times. I saw Matt Hughes get caught in a triangle choke, like his UFC 33 against Carlos Newton. Put him on top of the cage and then slammed him. And I was like, that looked real. I was like, I thought this was like WWE or something. I was in like 6th or 7th grade. And I was like, what the heck was that? And it was a UFC Unleashed episode. So it was a bunch of different fights back to back. Instantly addicted to it. Then it was leading up to the Ultimate Fighter season 2 premiere, which I think I heard of season 1, but I wasn't really interested. I was more into like WWE at that time, at that age. Instantly massive fan of the sport, like love at first sight. As soon as I saw that slam happen, I was like, that was wild. Okay, this is like WWE, but real. I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. Addicted to it, started watching it from 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Then me and my friends in high school found a local gym that did kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. And it was called Tiger Schulman's. And I was like, Tiger Schulman's, I thought it was like the karate gym. I didn't know they did grappling and kickboxing. Like, yeah, the schedule says grappling, kickboxing. I was like, all right. So at the time it was like a 1-month trial. So we signed up for the 1-month trial, and I went every single day for that month. 6 days a week they have classes. I was there every single day doing as many classes as I could. The 1 month ran out, and I was like, that was like a different kind of fun. Like I was addicted. I loved watching it, but then doing it, I was like, this is a different kind of fun. Like I didn't do really high school sports or anything like that. Like I did diving in school, which is not a team sport really, but I like the individuality in it, like all the pressure being on me and it involving me. So that part of MMA really attracted me too. Like, not have to worry about teammates messing stuff up or me messing stuff up for teammates. As soon as the month ran out, my parents were like, we can't afford it right now. It's tough. I have 2 younger brothers and stuff. And my sensei at the time, Sensei Montez, he worked out a deal with me for me to help clean the mats and stuff like that. And I would be able to train. And then one thing led to another. I had started working there, started becoming an instructor there. And again, I had no intentions of fighting at that time. I just liked it. I was like, maybe I'll do boxing or something. But those UFC guys, those guys are crazy. Those guys are like too tough. I'm not that tough. And then fast forward 2 years after, like 3 years into my training, my coach at the time, Torelli at Shion Torelli at the headquarters, he asked me if I want to do a MMA fight. I was like, yeah, I do. So I had my first MMA fight in high school actually. So that's pretty funny. But the end, I think it was the beginning of June, and we graduated the end of June. So it was like right before the end of my high school career, I had my first amateur fight. So that was wild. But it was like, from the moment I saw the first fight to where I'm now, do you know what I mean? Like, it just went like, whoa, like 0 to 100, like a slingshot. As soon as I saw that first fight, the trajectory of my life just was like, I felt like I had a purpose now. It's like, okay, I understand what I want to do with my life. That's what I want to do. And I've been obsessed with the sport ever since.
I'm so fascinated by this. I just had a call with my co-host of another podcast I do, Chris Berg, and we were talking about, he was a quarterback at Stanford, just for a little background, like 30 years ago. But we were talking about this idea, like he still says it to this day. He's like, hey, if I do my 3-step drop, my 5-step drop, my 7-step drop every day, and I practice them, I'm going to be good. Now, he's relating that to what we have to do in our podcast and in storage. But I'm so intrigued by this because you started, what were you, 14, 15 years old when you first started at Tiger Schulman's?
15, yeah,
You,
15.
you were going every day. And quite frankly, fast forward, it's been 20 years. You haven't stopped going every day. Like you're doing this actively every day. Talk about, the commitment and how that commitment has played itself out in terms of your skill level.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty, the more you train, the better you're going to get, the faster you're going to get. So I got pretty good pretty quick because, again, I was obsessed and I was doing it all the time. And then on top of doing, like physically doing it all the time, I was watching it like religiously. I just found the sport. So I was going back and watching old fights and stuff like that, and then trying to mimic the fighters that I liked, and then trying it in training, see what worked for me and what didn't work for me. That was like my favorite thing, is to like watch a UFC pay-per-view or like a fight night on a Saturday, and then go to training on Monday and try the things that I saw. So it was like, yeah, it became like it just consumed my entire life, and then my family jumped onto it too. Like both my brothers started training. My mom and dad, we'd have UFC parties. This is back when UFC was only like once a month. It was a lot more affordable to do a paper, and the pay per views were $50 like max. Fast forward now, it's a lot crazier. But yeah, it's funny how it just consumed my entire being. I eat, sleep, and breathe the sport.
That's I apologize. I'm having some technical difficulties over here. I wanted to talk about this. You mentioned your family. I've known you obviously since you were 16, 17 years old and you first started coming to headquarters. And I kind of heard about you because at the time, obviously, I was running a Tiger Schulman's gym as well. And I followed the NAGA scene. NAGA is the North American Grappling Association, for folks who don't know. And there was a minute there where you were the #1 rated teenage grappler in NAGA, which I always kind of, as we're going to talk about your UFC fights and kind of what you're known for from a fighter perspective. But it always amazes me, like when you were a teenager, jiu-jitsu was really your thing that you shone in first. So talk about that piece of it and how important your family was, and because you were traveling the country to go to these tournaments.
Yeah, like it's funny, but before I ever had a fight, like I had done probably over 100 grappling matches, just traveling all over the East Coast. Really, the furthest I went, I think, was Ohio for a Naga. So I went to Ohio.
Short trip from Westchester County, New York.
Yeah, I went to Ohio for a Naga, and then I went to Virginia twice for Nagas over there. But then I went to, obviously, the ones in New Jersey and New York, and then the Pennsylvania one. So I was jumping all over the place. My mom and dad would just take me, and then again, my brother started doing it too. So it was kind of like a family affair. Like it was it was like a bonding experience for all of us too.
Talk to me about your mom and dad. Obviously, I've known them for a long time, and they were so central to you and your journey, always at your side, always behind you. How important was it for you to have that support system?
Oh yeah, for sure. Without it, I wouldn't be here right now. They supported me in whatever I did and whatever I wanted to do. At the time that I found Tiger Schulman's in training, I was in the middle of diving, and I could have gotten a scholarship to go to college and then do this and that, but I was just not about school. And honestly, I wasn't even about diving. I really didn't even like it. Once I found the fighting thing, I was like, screw the diving stuff. Like I honestly, I purposely got kicked off the team, off the diving team, just so I could go back to training. The coaches asked me to do a dive, and I hated doing this dive because sometimes you back flop, which means that you just smack your back on the water, and it kills. So he was like, Shane, either do that one or just swim off and you're out. Did a backflip off the diving board, and I swam out, and I didn't go back. The coach is cool, but it's funny because he was my teacher. He knew that I found this fighting thing, and I was running with that. And I didn't want to do this anymore. So he understood it, but I kind of did it on purpose so my parents would get off my back about the get a scholarship, go to college. And then after that happened, they did. They were all gas, no brakes, just along with me. So once I found this and I committed to it, they committed to it with me.
I'm so intrigued by this line because again, I've known you since you were a teenager, and like there was no secondary plan in Shane Burgos's life. It was UFC or bust from a very young time. How important was it for you that there wasn't any backup plan?
Oh man, it was I burned the boats from a young age because I tried college out and I was like, did it for a year and a half. For a year and a half, I'd say I skipped a lot of it, but it was kind of just a waste of my time. And again, I was thinking I could just be training instead of doing this crap that I'm never going to use in life. Yeah, the boats were burned from probably from like my first amateur fight. I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. So yeah, I went in all in on it.
I obviously it sounds like, this is a smooth journey when you talk about it 20 years later, but the reality is I was there for some times when it wasn't easy for you. Now, we're lucky Shion Tiger Schulman, our teacher, is a sort of a different level kind of coach. But I can remember distinctly you wearing a brown belt, which, a little different than jiu-jitsu. Tiger Schulman belts went a little quicker, especially in that era. And he would not give you your black belt for love nor money. And I was always, I had so much respect for you. And one of the reasons I was so excited to have you come on the show, because you would show up for training at headquarters as a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid. You were training with the pro fighters, right? You were hanging with people like me. I was fighting professionally as a kickboxer, and you're a brown belt. You can hang with us, but he would not give you your black belt until he saw a certain level that he wanted to see in your kickboxing. We talked about how at the time your jiu-jitsu was off the hook, way high level, especially for Tiger Schulman's, which is more of a stand-up school. I want to know the mindset. Like, how did you deal with that? Did you get
Oh,
angry? Were there times where you were like pissed off? Like, how did you
oh,
cope with that and keep coming to class by all outward appearance with a smile on your face as a willing student?
dude, I was pissed. Because I did the black belt test 3 times. I did it 3 times and I failed 3 times. And I'm looking at guys that I'm like, I'm better than them. Like I beat them up and I'm like, guys, come on. You're busting my balls here. I wouldn't, if but honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. It meant so much more because I did the three tests and I failed every single time. And I was like, after the third one, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna be the best brown belt in the world. Because it never crossed my mind to stop training. Like that never was a the swear to God, it never even crossed my mind. I just said, screw it. All right, I'm gonna be literally the best brown belt I possibly can be, and I just let go of the belt. I'm not testing anymore. Going back to training. At that, I think I got my black belt when I was like I think 6 or 7 in MMA. I already had like two titles in 2 different weight classes, and then we go to a Tuesday training one day, and I had no idea this was gonna happen, and then Tiger promoted me in front of the entire class. So it was actually it was the best. I would take that 1,000 times over the other ones. It felt way more personal. It felt like it meant a lot more because I really earned it. I definitely don't want to be handed a belt anyway. So if you're holding me at a high regard and I'm not reaching that high regard, okay, hold me back. You know what? Because it made me who I am today. So I appreciate them for that.
I was there for that, and I can remember there were 100. Our instructor training on Tuesdays. There were 100+ people in the room training, and the ovation that you received was like nothing I'd seen at Tiger Schulman's up to that point. Because I think all of us really understood the depth of man, I would say courage, like for a teenage kid to keep showing up that way and drive and so much respect that you earned by handling that the way you did. So very, very proud to have been a piece of that, if just one guy in the crowd that got to watch it. I want to talk about that mindset a little bit because by that time, of course, Tiger Schulman knows that your goal is much higher than getting a black belt, right? Like your
Yeah,
goal at this point is already, I'm going to fight in the and this is one thing I love about you, and I'll be frank with you. I've taken it with me into my journey into commercial real estate, where I no longer say I want. I say I'm going to, and that's something that I can remember at a very young age. You were like, I'm going to fight in the UFC. How thankful are you that you happened to walk by a Tiger Schulman's franchise and that ended up being the person that was your coach, where they had that mindset to really kind of push and understand the push and the pull of how to treat you as a student?
man, it was everything because like that discipline you learn in the like Tiger Solomon's martial arts is more of we teach mixed martial arts, yes, but it comes from a karate background, and that discipline really translates throughout everything for me. When I'm in a fight camp, the discipline is I can't eat anything unless I know exactly what it is. I have to count every single macro. I know exactly like all my training is completely tailored. I know exactly what I'm doing. If training starts at 10 a.m., I'm not getting there at 10 a.m. I'm getting there at 9:45 at the latest. So having that karate style discipline start me off, and then I'm still with the same team ever since. It's been everything. Like I've trained at a bunch of different gyms since then, but obviously that's still my home team. But that part is something that is missing in a lot of MMA gyms, and I'm very grateful for that part because that not only shaped me as a fighter and made me the fighter that I am today, but also made me the man I am today. And I think I'm proud of the man I am today.
I'm proud of the man you are today as somebody who's old enough to be your dad and has
Thank you.
watched from afar and just seeing how you've handled yourself, the way you speak. And for those of you who have not, obviously, we're in a little different audience here than Shane's normal audience. But if you've never seen any of his other podcasts or any of his other interviews or watched any of his fights, I strongly encourage you to go out and look him up because it's special to watch. I want to talk a little bit now about this transition because obviously we talked about your jiu-jitsu and how high level you were, literally ranked number one in the country at 16, 17, 18 years old. I can't remember exactly how old. That era of my life is a little cloudy because I was
Mine
getting
too.
punched in the head far too often at that time. But you get into the UFC and very rarely did you engage in any type of ground fighting at all. You were known as a guy who's going to stand in front of people and you were going to try and knock somebody out. Uh, where did that mindset come from? And when did that shift start to happen and how you were going to be a fighter?
So if you look at all my amateur fights, I was taking everybody down and submitting them. And then I
I
had a
was
fight
there.
my my fifth amateur fight. I go to take the guy down, and usually I touch their legs and they're just falling over. Like I was pretty good at getting the takedown. I went to take this guy down. He felt stronger than me. He shucked me off, and I was like, "Oh shit! I guess we're gonna strike," because he felt strong. And then I start landing, but I'm doing my thing on the feet. I'm like, "Oh crap! All right, I can do this. Why did I doubt myself?" That fight ends up ending in a no contest. I knee him in the nuts by accident at the end of the round. We have a rematch a month later, and in my head was fuck the takedown. This is gonna be a kickboxing fight with MMA gloves on, and I ended up TKOing him in the second round with a body shot, left hook to the body. So from that point on, like, but then not even that. I'm thinking like, all right, I'm an MMA fighter. I can strike. I can grapple. I can wrestle. I can do everything. Less than a month later, they booked me for a kickboxing fight, and I was pissed. I was pissed. I was like, I just cut weight. I have to cut weight again and go into a kickboxing fight. You want me to just kickboxing? I'm like, oh man. And then I get matched up with you remember Phil Nurse?
Very much so. Derek
So I get
Riddick was one of his students, was a co-fighter of mine in the Jersey Tigers when I was fighting the WCL.
Okay, yeah. So I get matched up with one of his fighters, and I'm like, damn, I heard he's cornering GSP and all this stuff, and I'm like, it's kickboxing too. I was like, oh, I can't grapple him. All right, see how this goes. I knocked the guy out in 90 seconds, maybe even less than that. I just completely smoked him, and I was like, I was like, that was like the headshot. I had knocked him out the headshot too. So that body shot, oh, it felt cool in the MMA fight. But when I knocked him out, dropped him 3 times, dropped him 2 times, then he got back up, and then the third time left hook, and I knocked him out. And I was like, dude, that was a different kind of fun. Ever since that point on, like it was like, all right, kickboxing is the way to go. I'm gonna just focus more on this. And then in training camps, we like every professional training camp that I've had up in with Tiger, like they bring us to the boxing gym. So we're going in, and again, being in that position where I'm an MMA fighter, I have to go put on big gloves, put on the headgear, put on the waistband, and get myself completely out of my comfort zone and go basically fight a guy. Because when these boxing gyms, you're fighting when you go to spar there. They're talking shit, you're talking shit back. It's basically a fight for however many rounds, and you're completely out of your comfort zone. It's their gym. You can't wrestle, you can't kick, you can't knee. So constantly being put in those positions really it shaped me overall as a fighter. But also again as a man, like putting me in those uncomfortable positions where I couldn't say no. I couldn't. You don't have that option where you're like the Tigers. Like, we're going to the boxing tomorrow. You can't be like, I don't want to go. He's gonna be like, I didn't ask if you wanted to go. I'm telling you what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? So it's like, so that was everything. That really like shaped my entire being, I would say.
Shout out, by the way, to Ray Velez, the boxing coach for Tiger Schulman's for many,
My
many
dog.
years. The guy
Yeah.
I credit with teaching me how to dance, quite frankly, because he put some rhythm into this white dude as I was learning how to box. But I bring up Ray Velez because he had such great inroads. He was a Golden Gloves, New York City Golden Gloves champion, very accomplished amateur boxer, successful pro boxer as well, incredible coach. But he knew everybody in greater New York City. It's not like you guys were going to boxing gyms with guys that were low level fighters, right?
No.
You were going to fight world champion level boxers in their gym under their rules when you're an MMA fighter.
Yeah, like I remember being in the gym where I wasn't sparring at the time, but one of our teammates was sparring Shakur Stevenson, and I look at him now. So like that was like a very common thing where we're around these boxers that are the upper echelon of boxing. Very common. And yeah, shout out to Ray. Like not only does he know everybody, he has all those connections, he knows the sport. Like he knows it so freaking much. I remember my first fight, he cornered me. He's like, Shane, go out there and throw the 2-3-2. I'm like, 2-3-2. I go out there, I boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh shit. He's like, it's open. I land 2-3-2, all three of them. The guy freaking head goes back. I'm like, damn, that was crazy. So like that really helped me to be a better coach too, with how anal he is with little things. Like if we go out there and we throw a shitty jab, he's like, no, go back and do it again the right way. Like he will not let you pass with even 1% less of what you're capable of. So like you'll see your max, and you have to hit your fucking your capability every single time, or I'll call you out on it. And I love that.
I'm so excited to go down this road because listen, I'm talking to storage investors and storage developers and small bay flex commercial real estate people, but the underpinning themes here are the same, right? It's about being obsessed with what you're doing, putting yourself in rooms with the very best people and seeing if you stack up, right? And learning and being able to really test yourself even before you step into that higher level arena. I want to transition a little bit now into Shane Burgos gets into the UFC. How different did it become when you get to that level? I want to talk about a little bit about the day in the life. Like as you're getting ready to go into a UFC fight, what's your life like? What's the pressure like? And what's the daily routine like?
I mean, if we want to backtrack a little bit, before like me even getting to the UFC was a pretty crazy story, honestly. Like I had a CFFC title fight that fell through. It was going to be the biggest fight of my career. I was 7-0 at the time with 7 finishes. If I won that fight, then I would probably get to the UFC, and it would be I was getting a belt. But then on top of that, I was getting good pay for a regional fight. Like after ticket sales and everything like that, like I was going to be getting decent amount of money for a regional fight. And stacked on top of that, my wife is pregnant, and we have our first kid due in February. This was a Halloween card, so all the pressure in the world is on top of my shoulders at this time. And then that fight falls through, and I'm like, I remember I take my phone, I just throw it at the floor. I felt like all this work that I put in, 7-0 amateur, 7-0 pro, I got barely any money to my name. Like, what was this all for? Like, all my friends graduated college and they're starting their careers. I'm not making money, and regional fights, you don't really make any money. So I was thinking $7,000, I'll be able to put some money away for my kid and this and that. And then that fight falls through, and man, I just felt like the world collapsed. I was like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like, I'm good at it. And then fast forward a couple weeks later, I hear the UFC. At this time, UFC just got legalized in New York, and they're coming to Albany. I live only an hour and a half away from Albany. Somebody in my weight class gets taken out of the fight, pops, take him out of the fight, and they need somebody at 145. I live an hour and a half away. I just went through a full title fight camp. My weight isn't too crazy. I'm like, I had 2 weeks notice at this point. I'm like, dude, the stars are aligned. So you need skill in this sport, for sure. You need skill in the sport. You need that toughness and that mental grit, but you also need a little bit of a divine intervention, or some people call it luck. I like to call it divine intervention. Like God really aligned the stars for me. Like somebody in my weight class pop. It's an hour away from my house. I literally drove there. I did a whole fight camp, and my weight isn't that bad. You couldn't write this any better. And then I go out there and I got 7 fights. The guy I'm fighting has over 35 fights that are even listed, let alone the ones that in Brazil that they didn't talk about, and zero nerves. Like not even remotely nervous. I remember going out into the arena when we first got there and just looking up and seeing the ceiling, like how high the ceiling was. I just fought in gymnasiums like 2 years ago. I'm not like literal gymnasiums. So I'm like,
Yep.
this is crazy, but this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm meant to be here. And I was like, no nerves at all. And then I go out there, I have a great fight, and I win the fight, obviously. And then, man, that was like, thank you, God. I could tell that thank you, God.
I'm interested to go down this road with you. Obviously, if you're a man of faith and you put that out there pretty regularly, which I love and respect so much, is it luck or is it the Holy Spirit puts you where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there?
I fully believe that. Yeah, I say it luck for the people that aren't believers. If you want to call it luck, you can call it whatever you want to call it. That's your own relationship with whatever you want to have with. That was God for me. I know it was. I could literally feel it. Like we've all, not we all, but I've had a couple experiences where you feel that. All right, this is an inexplainable feeling. I've never felt this way before. It's the only thing I can say is this is divine. It's from God. That was one of those where I was like, I'm not even like ask the coaches at the time. I didn't even look nervous. They're like, "You good?" I'm like, "I'm good." Like, let's wake up. I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm ready to go." Yeah, like, all right. They're getting a little nervous that I'm not nervous, and I'm like, I got this. There's no way I'm losing. And I go out there and I just dog walk the guy, and win every single round. It was, yeah, it was a very surreal experience. The whole thing is surreal. Fighting in general is surreal, but add all that stuff on top of it, it was. I'll never forget that moment. Obviously.
That's awesome. Take me through as that happens, and then fast forward to a month later, 3 months later, 5 months later. How does your life change, and how quickly did that change start to happen?
It changed overnight, like literally from that fight on. Like what I make in a year, I made more in that one fight. So and that's not that I'm not saying I made a fucking like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I went out there and I bought a Lamborghini and something. I made,
Eh,
tell you right now, I made
it's
20.
public record what you
Yeah,
made, so
yeah.
people
You
can
can
look
go
it up.
exactly. You can go see it. So that, but right after that fight, I get booked for another fight in April and then another fight in July. So I had my 3 UFC fights pretty much back to back to back, and I racked up a good amount of money, which is, and then I got a bonus in one of those fights, which was cool. I got the $50,000 bonus in my second fight. Man, it's crazy. Like, I don't want to talk too much about finances, but like to go from just struggling, like literally, me and my wife had to go like to the dollar store to get some groceries and stuff, like to having 6 figures in my bank account. I'm like, in less than a year, I'm like, this is that. Thank you, God. That's so. I just try to give it back by being the best man I possibly can be.
Talk to me about your wife, because you're a person who got married early, and how important has that been in your family and your daughters, and to the success of Shane Burgos and the journey that you've been on?
Oh man, it's been everything. She's forced me outside of my comfort zone in so many different ways. Like I'm talking about with my coaches and stuff like that, forcing me out, like shaping me as a man on the mat, but outside the mat, like she's put me in so many positions where I had to grow, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been hard sometimes. Like it's not always sunshine and rainbows being married. It's definitely hard, and then having kids on top of that. But it's forced me to grow and again be a man that I can say right now I am proud of the man that I am. I wouldn't say that I always was though. And I'd say credit to my wife for making me or helping me to realize my full potential as a man and as a husband and as a father. Um, just having like our kid on the way and all that pressure being stacked on my shoulders. Like she wanted to be a stay at home mom. I wanted that for her. I don't want anyone else watching my kids. How am I going to afford that right now? And then like just literally overnight being able to do that. I'm like, it's really wild when you sit back and think about it. But I'm she's been there for me. Like I have pictures of us where I was an amateur and like I have the belt and like our not baby complete baby faces. But I remember one time I told the story a couple times. We went on a date and I just started dating. I was only like 21. She was 19 when we started dating, and we went out to eat or to like a salad spot, and so I got her a salad. And I didn't get myself anything. And she's like, you're not gonna eat?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. I ate already." I didn't have enough money to buy myself something, so I bought her something, and then she purposely, and I don't even eat salads really at the time. Now I do, but at the time, but she purposely didn't finish her salad and left a lot, and I was like, "You're not gonna finish it?" And I'm hungry too, and she's like, "No, I don't really. I'm full. I'm just gonna throw it out." I'm like, "No, don't throw it out." And then I finish it, and then I was like, I knew she did that on purpose. I literally knew that she did that. I was so grateful for that. Like, man, gonna get me emotional here, but yeah, like, yeah, she means a lot to me. Like, she's a huge part of why I am who I am today.
That's a ride or die right there. That's a Bronx Tale with the unlocking the
Yeah,
lock
look
on the
at
other side of the car right there. That's making me get emotional,
that.
Shane. Listen, I promised you I was going to try and keep this to a half hour. I have so much more stuff that I
No,
had
you're
hoped
good.
to
You're
talk
good.
to you about. Someday, I'd love to have you come back on. I told you off camera before, your journey is so inspirational to me. And people, a lot of people don't understand what it takes when you see somebody on camera and you see them getting their hand raised in the octagon, or for us in the commercial real estate world, when there's a $27 million sale of an asset and you know that somebody made a really good profit. Well, that was a 6 or 7 or an 8-year journey. That wasn't something that happened overnight. And
Yeah.
along that journey, there were trials and tribulations that most people don't get a chance to see. So I cannot thank you enough for being willing to sacrifice a half hour of your time and come on. I want to finish up by just telling me what's going on in your life today. What's the future look like for Shane Burgos? What should people look for you to be doing?
Yeah, man, this was awesome. I don't mind doing this kind of stuff. I like it. I love this. I really do. If my story can touch somebody or help somebody in any way, I would love to do that. But as for me, I'm not retired right now. I'm 34 years old. I want to be retired by the time I'm 35. So that gives me a year and change. I got a couple offers from some organizations. I literally just got one today or today and yesterday, kind of, to fight in Russia. So that was pretty interesting. So I'm weighing that out. I got to see if that makes sense for me. I don't know if it does. But yeah, I got a couple more left in me. I definitely want to go out with a bang. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. Like I got that itch back again. My last 3 fights were back to back to back, and those weight cuts were fucking brutal doing them back to back. So it burnt me out a little bit, if I'm being honest. Now having this time off it's been great. I've been able to focus on being the father that I need to be for my daughters and the husband that I need to be for my wife. So that's been good. But aside from that, my brother's moving down here, and my mom and dad are moving down here. And we're gonna be looking to open up our own gym down here. So I'm really excited for that.
That makes me so happy. Your brother, Ryan Burgos, I'll never forget. I was reffing a match of his at COC when he was like 8 years old, and he nearly took some kid's arm off with a rolling omoplata. I literally had to dive. I was so nervous. I thought that kid, if you don't know what a rolling omoplata is, go look that up. OMA space PLATA. Craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Tell me about Ryan. Is he going to make it? You think he'll make it to the UFC in his career?
When it comes to skills, like pound for pound, he's one of the best fighters I've ever trained with. And I don't think I ever told him that, but like his actual skills, like, and then on top of that, aside from his skills, like he's in White Plains. He's one of the instructors in the White Plains school, and he's killing it. He's a phenomenal instructor. So not only can he teach it, but he's grew up in the sport. Like I found this sport when I was 15. He's 10 years younger than me, so he was 5. He literally probably doesn't remember not watching the sport. So he has so much knowledge of this game. Then he did wrestling in high school and stuff like that. So he can box. He goes to the boxing gym and boxes with guys fighting for the world titles and stuff like that. Like when it comes to his pure skills, like there's nothing. I don't think there's anyone better than him. I don't see him losing a fight, period. Let alone outside of the UFC. He's 3-0 now. He just won the Ring of Combat title. If he can
Big
stay
fight
healthy,
coming up soon, right? In December, I think he's got another fight coming.
No, he was supposed to, but he got hurt, so that fell through. So what I'm going to say is if he can stay healthy, I think the sky is the absolute limit. I can see him fighting and being a world champion with it.
I love it. I'm keeping my eye on him. You may not know this, but my nephew, my best friend since I was 5 years old, his son, Malcolm Davis, trains with your brother. And I get videos sent to me all the time when Malcolm's rolling with Ryan. Yep. So keeps me up to date on what's happening there. Shane, I love you, man. I have so much respect for you, and it's, lucky enough to be in your circle and lucky enough that you may not know this. I called Edson Barbosa's first ever fight in the United States, and I called his second fight in the United States at Ring of Combat back in the day. And I share an opponent with Edson Barbosa, so I'm like one step removed from you. You got to fight Edson Barbosa, who's like a legend in the UFC. Yeah. In the UFC, I fought Anthony Njokuani when I was kickboxing, who is one of his opponents in the UFC as well. So we're not that separated by very far in the fight game, but I just want to tell you, man, and I don't think I've ever expressed this before, but man to man, it's been really, really inspiring to watch your journey and to see what you've done. And as someone who's lucky enough to get to watch you as a teenager and the way you carried yourself and the drive and the grit, really, really pleased to be able to share some of that journey with other people and let them get to pull the curtain back on your life.
I appreciate that. I love you too, bro. This was awesome. I really did enjoy this. It was really cool.
He's Shane Burgos. I'm Thaddeus Campbell. I'm going to give one more shout out to my folks at Kiwi 2 Steel. 30 plus years of putting up steel in the self-storage industry. As good at it as anybody in the industry. Reach out to kiwiconstruction.com if you have any steel needs coming up. He is Shane Burgos. I'm Thaddeus Campbell. That's it for this week's episode of the Stories Behind the Door podcast. We'll see you next week.